October 5th, 2014, from Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri. It was Game 3 of the ALDS between the Los Angeles Angels and the Kansas City Royals. And starting off on the mound for these two teams, we had big games James Shields and C.J. Wilson, the Royals and the Angels respectively. So in the top of the first, James Shields came out and he got the first batter, Calhoun, to pop out. And then Mike Trout came up to bat and he hit a home run as he went deep, hitting this one over 420 feet. And the Angels were now up on the scoreboard, 1 run to none. So then the next two batters got out, Pujols and Kendrick. And so going into the bottom of the first, the Angels are up 1-0 over the Royals. So C.J. Wilson got the first batter, Escobar, to ground out. Then Aoki got a single, and then Cain got a single, so we had 2 on. And then Hosmer struck out. So now Butler came up with 2 on, 2 out, and he walked. So Alex Gordon was at the plate with the bases juiced, and he hit a double as Aoki, Cain, and Butler all came around as the bases were cleared. And it was 3-1 Royals over Angels, but Alex Gordon was thrown out at third. So now, after 1, it was 3-1 Kansas City over LA. So in the top of the second, Shields came out and he let up a single to Ibar as he got a single to lead off the inning. And then he advanced on a wild pitch, but Freese would strike out for the first out of the inning. Hamilton then went down and Cron struck out. And so, after laying up that leadoff single, Shields got the Angels' next 3 batters to go down. Now in the bottom of the second, Vinny Pastano was pitching and he struck out Omar Infante, and then he was relieved by Santiago, and Moustakas was grounded out, and Escobar ended up getting out. So after 2, it was 3-1 Royals over Angels still. And in the top of the third, Shields set down the Angels in order. So now in the bottom of the third, Santiago still pitching, and he let up a walk to lead off the inning to Aoki. Then he got Cain to pop out. So now with Aoki on base, Hosmer hit a home run as he went deep, hitting this one over 420 feet. And it was now 5-1 Royals over the Angels. Butler would then walk, and he actually stole second, which is kind of crazy, but he did it. And Alex Gordon then grounded out and moved Butler over to third, and Marin came in to relieve Santiago. And then Perez struck out to end the inning. So after 3, it was 5-1 Kansas City over Anaheim. So then James Shields came out and he let up a leadoff home run to Albert Pujols. It was now 5-2 as the Angels were within 3 runs of the Royals. But then Kendrick struck out. Now Ibar got a double, and then Freese was hit by a pitch, so we had 2 on and 1 out. And Hamilton grounded into a fielder's choice. And so the runners were moved over into scoring position as Freese was on second and Ibar was on third, but Cron struck out as he stranded the runners, as he actually represented the tying run. And so after the half inning, now the Royals were coming up in the bottom of the fourth, still up by 3 with the score 5-2, and Infante popped out. But then the second batter of the inning, Mike Moustakas, went deep as he homered and hit this one over 400 feet. And it was now 6-2 as the Royals extended their lead to 4 runs. Escobar then singled, and he moved over to second on a wild pitch, as this was the second time we saw a wild pitch in this game. Aoki then reached on an infield single, so we had 2 on, and Cain hit a sac fly, and Escobar was able to score, and Aoki moved over to second. So now Salas came in to relieve Marin, but Hosmer struck out as Salas was able to strike out the first batter that he faced. So after 4, it was 7-2, as the Royals had picked up the 2 runs in the inning. First off the home run and then the sac fly. So now in the top of the 5th, Shields got the first batter out, but then he let off a single to Calhoun, and then he walked Trout. So now it was 2 on, 1 out. He got Pujols to pop out and Kendrick as well. And so the inning then went to the bottom half. And Grilly now was on the mound as he relieved Salas, and he set down the Royals in order. He actually struck out the second batter he saw, that was Gordon. So now after 5, it was still 7-2 Royals over the Angels. In the top of the 6th, Shields came back out and he let off a leadoff single to Ibar, but then he struck out Freese, got Hamilton out, but then Cron walked. So we had 2 on, 2 out, and Inetta struck out. So now we were going to the bottom half of the 6th, and Jepson came in to relieve Grilly. he walked the first batter. He saw Omar Infante. Now Moustakas was up, but he popped out, and Escobar ended up singling. And so now Aoki came on with 1 out, 2 on. He got a single, which scored Infante and moved Escobar over to second. Dyson then came in to pinch run for Aoki. So now Lorenzo Cain was at the plate, and he grounded into a fielder's choice. And they ended up getting Dyson at second, but Escobar was moved over to the third. So then Hosmer walked, and that moved Cain over to second, and Butler struck out to end the inning. So after 6, it was 8-2 Royals over the Angels. Now Herrera would come in to pitch for Kansas City to relieve Shields. He ended up getting the Angels down in order as he struck out Calhoun the first batter he faced, and they got Trout and Pujols both to pop out. So now in the bottom half of the inning, Rasmus would set down the Royals in order. So after 7, it was 8-2 Kansas City over LA. So Wade Davis would come in to relieve Herrera, and he would let off a leadoff double to Kendrick. And then Ibar ended up reaching on an infield single, which moved Kendrick over to third. Freeze then struck out, while Ibar ended up stealing second. So now Hamilton would come to the plate. He grounded out, but Hendrick came across the plate while Ibar moved into scoring position just 90 feet away on third. And it was 8-3 as the Angels now trailed by 5. But then Cron struck out to end the top half of the 8th. So it was 8-3 going into the bottom half of the 8th. And the Royals end up going down in order as Rasmus set them down. He actually struck out the second batter he faced, Escobar. So now in the top of the 9th, the Angels just had 3 outs left, or they would be eliminated from these playoffs. And Greg Holland came out. He had already saved 2 games in this series. This wasn't a save situation as the Royals were up by 5 runs, but they just wanted to shut the door and close things out and sweep this series so they can move on to the next round. And so Hank Conger would end up pinch hitting for Iannetta, and Conger struck out. Then Calhoun lined out right to Holland as he caught the ball. He actually was responsible for all 3 outs as he would then strike out the best batter on Los Angeles, and that's Mike Trout as he struck out. And the Kansas City Royals win this game 8-3, and they win this series 3-0 as they sweep the Los Angeles Angels, and they move on as they advance to the American League Championship Series, where they will be facing the Baltimore Orioles, and they'll be playing on Friday in Baltimore. Before this game, James Shields had an amazing performance as he pitched 6 innings. He had only 2 earned runs and let up 6 hits and had 6 strikeouts. He did walk 2 batters. Those 2 earned runs were both solo shots. Those solo shots were by Mike Trout and Albert Pujols, who actually both took him deep. And actually, for the Kansas City, Hosmer went deep, and so did Moustakas. Wilson only lasted 2/3 of an inning before he ended up leaving this game, as he let up 3 runs right there in the first inning. So quite the game, and Greg Holland ends up closing the door. We got great relief from Herrera and Davis as well. Kansas City's moving on. Aoki was 3 for 5. He came across the plate twice. He had 2 RBIs. He also walked. He also had Cain, who was 1 for 3. He had an RBI, and he also scored as well. Hosmer 1 for 3. He came across the plate once. That was, of course, when he hit that home run. He had 2 RBIs, and he also walked. He did strike out twice, though. The Kansas City Royals advance. They sweep the Angels. They win at home. They're moving on to the ALCS.